In case you didn't know, I actually opened up my very own merch store, and there you can find some awesome keychains, stickers, and memory markers like these. They even come in bundles, so be sure to check them out. And as always, thank you so much for the support, and be sure to stay tuned for more drops coming in the future. Just like I promised, you guys know what time it is? It's Imperial time, baby.
Okay, so our first matchup of the showcase of this brand new Imperial build I have is against the Blue Flare deck. Overall, Blue Flare is pretty much similar with the older build from before, but it's still relatively okay because it has like Zudomon to work with, it has Gomamon these days, so really depending on how the player likes to build it, it can still be very decent. Right here with our opening hand, it looks really good. We have the rookie we want to see, we have searchers that we can play, and cards that can help us find pieces, and Imperialdramon so we can set up, and things are looking pretty good. They play their Blazing Memory Boost. Unfortunately, it seems like they didn't really get their most value out of it because of tamers and stuff. So right here, we're just going to go ahead and search ourselves and sort of try to get there as quickly as possible as well. Really nice that we found the Imperialdramon Ace, which we can showcase later on hopefully, and potentially want to showcase and how we get to play it, but also kind of gives away a little bit of the element of surprise now, because now our opponent can expect us to have one as a hand trap potential. So with Blue Flare, they're just doing the typical Blue Flare things right here, searching, chipping away, finding their pieces as they go, and just trying to establish a board presence and setting up as much as possible here, going for another Blazing Memory Boost, popping that one and then playing another one, and continue the cycle. And yeah, they do have Zudomon, which is pretty crazy too, and really unfortunate because it doesn't seem like they were able to find a tamer out of the two Blazings that they play. So we have an opportunity right here to go for an aggressive play and even send that Greymon to the bottom as well. Apologize guys, right here I did forget to pay memory on the XVmon Digivolve, but the intention and the thought that I had during the time was I was supposed to use the blue memory boost, which I forgot to crack first, and so please ignore the fact that the blue memory boost is actually sitting there. Treat it as it was supposed to be gone, because we really didn't get to utilize it later on, and I'll address it again later in the match. So anyways, ignore the fact there. We're still able to pull off this play and go for the multiple checks as quickly as possible and as early as possible, giving them a Kirihao which they needed, but it doesn't stop Imperialdramon because we still need to continue to attack as quickly as possible. Right here, we're kind of disrespecting the board a little bit because we are going wide, which we really shouldn't be against Blue Flare, because once you give them two bodies, they can immediately stun us like crazy. Like here, just like that with the Metal Greymon, our entire board is going to be stunned. They're going to swing with Mailbird and stun our Imperialdramon as well, but thankfully Security did save us a little bit because they ran into Dino B, crashing together against the Metal Grey. So now they're forced to save, and they will have to kind of rebuild and refine their resources from there and then on. So kind of difficult situation, because now that it's stunned, we can't really go for game next turn. We have like a lot of barrage of attacks that we can actually fire off and take them down if we really need to. And in this current position, I think they're trying to really find their pieces at the same time. So the game pace has slowed down quite significantly because of that. So they end up just playing the Gaussmon, but we can't really work with our board right here, but it's actually okay. We gain quite a bit of memory because thanks to the new Davis that's promo here. So the answer to Blue Flare is, what happens when you shouldn't go wide? We go wider than we really need to. So wide that they can't stun us all, because here we're just going to the good old Imperialdramon Dragon mode from the starter deck, and then we can go back into another Imperialdramon here and then bottom deck their guy once again. And then we have a new body to continue swing, just because DNA is just really good. DNA doesn't get affected by the stuns either. And yeah, being able to play two bodies just like that, and we're just going to continue and, you know, thinking whether we should, you know, cycle, maybe just, again, attack aggressively as possible and as quickly as possible, because we want to end the game faster. It is a bit of a race when it comes to Blue Flare versus Imperial, because it's, you know, seeing who can go faster. Here, I did end up cracking that blue memory boost like you guys saw here, but I actually end up playing a 3-cost Davis from my hand, which actually lets me Digivolve into XVmon for free anyway. So that 2 memory wasn't really efficiently worked and used anyway, so treat it as we never even used the boost there. And like I mentioned earlier in the stages, when we went for that Imperialdramon combo in that turn 2 play right there, the memory boost shouldn't have been there to begin with anyways. So this is what I meant. In terms of the situation, didn't really change after all over there. Here they're gonna go up with the Gomamon, stripping any source that they want, which is really good. And they can't even be blocked, but we don't play blockers in this deck at this moment anyways, and they're able to swing in and sort of go for their big plays. If they have another Metal Greymon here, pretty doomed. And they do go into one right here, but this is the moment where I smiled and was super happy, because that meant they completely forgot we had an ace card and they disrespectfully just swung into us. So we surprised them right here and suspended down their Goemon, so we can showcase how it works with the Imperialdramon Dragon Mode ace card. This new one, it can suspend something, unsuspend itself as well at the same time, so they have one less check here, which probably could have changed the huge tide of the game, because if they had another Metal Greymon, it might be more difficult. If they have Mailbirds, so you know they can stun things, but they do have a Greymon that could swing twice. But it really looks like they don't have the resources to actually further play, and they don't have another Metal Greymon that can actually get into. But really fun stuff, because now we're able to sort of showcase how cool this new Imperialdramon ace works. You know, you can kind of play around, suspend something, and sort of disrupt the opponent's turn a little bit, which is really neat as well. And that's the whole defensive approach where you want to go for. Really unfortunate. It looks like they really didn't find what they need in the end, and they weren't really able to sort of like get the play that they're really looking for. You know, because if they had that extra memory or even had the Metal Greymon, they could have went crazy. But yeah, you saw their hand, so we just won for game just like that. Alright, so moving on to the next game, we're going to be facing off against Rosemon, which is another archetype and deck that got a lot of support from BT14. And honestly, I haven't really played this matchup before, so it's going to be really interesting. I don't know what to expect, but we are going to be going second, and we have a really nice hand. We have Vmon, we have X-Vmon, and we're going to be drawing cards as we Digivolve through our stack. And it's going to be really neat and really good setup for us overall. I know that when it comes to the Rosemon matchup, they do have the typical green sort of advantages where they can Digivolve very, very quickly and climb through their stack very fast as well at the same time, but it doesn't stop us from setting up the wave that we really want to. Unfortunately, like always, we find the Labramon after the fact, which I usually prefer having Labramon and raising with X-Vmon instead, because then we can gain the maximum value out of it. But we don't really have any other play, which is why we have to just hard slap it and then just like pass turn here. Here, I think the opponent is looking to sort of they could combo off pretty crazily off here already, because they have a lot of Digisorption, such as like with Argomon right here even, and they could even like get into like their top end if they really need to, if they have it at this moment. And really allows us to sort of think, and we really need to actually cycle through more cards. We need to draw more at this moment. Our hand is okay. You know, we see a nice line going up. So passing to 2 to us, we're just going to immediately come out X-Vmon. We're going to address that Palmon because it's suspended anyway, so we can attack over it. And we're going to Digivolve Stingmon on top of Labramon. And we do see an open Argomon as a target, so we can go into this Dino Beamon, showcasing how we can utilize it to sort of suspend something down and swing over it at the same time. Now, a little bit of a mistake that I made here when I was DNA Digivolving, I tend to put the Stingmon on top, which I always thought you're supposed to put the green source. I was so used to the other Dino Beamon, and I completely forgot and didn't notice that in this one has a particular different order where you're supposed to put the blue Digimon on top. But it doesn't really matter too much in this matchup overall when it comes to our stack, because there's no source stripping based on top or bottom in the end. So here we're just gonna sort of try to find a way to pass turn, just hard play the Vmon to search and find more pieces, and then we can continue and sort of apply as much pressure as possible during the next turn as well. Here they're setting up back, you know, they have to rebuild their entire board, and this is a really great opportunity for us at the same time, so we can sort of start attacking and really don't really need to think too much, you know, attack, swing, and then draw a ton of cards because of Stingmon, Vmon, as well as Demi Vmon. And here, really looking back into this game, I felt like I would have played way more optimally for this particular turn, because Imperialdramon is all about aggression. I should have realized they set up on the board already. The next turn, they're going to pop off and go crazy, especially with Yoshinoya that they have. I really should have just played the double Hammer Spark, gone to Form Memory, and actually Digivolved into the starter deck Imperialdramon Dragon Mode and spit out 2 more bodies. And the fact that I have tons of Imperialdramons to work with, I could have easily made additional checks right here without a doubt. But in the end, I realized a little bit too late, because I went through my Digivolving and I went through my stack as well. And here I'm just setting up and putting them back to 3. And at the moment, I was really trying to think, oh, I could sort of like, you know, surprise blast Digivolve against them on them with the new Imperialdramon Ace Dragon mode, which really wouldn't matter too much, which you guys are going to see in a bit. So we do end up going to be getting punished for this play because, again, just my bad. I should have really noticed that as an Imperial player, you know, going for that combo instead would have been totally different in this situation. Here, going back to them, I'm very sure they're pushing out and they can really easily just climb through their stack. They have a memory boost to work with, they have agility training, they have Yoshinoya, which gains them a memory back as well, Sunflowmon on top of that. By suspending itself, it can, you know, digivolve into something that's fairy related for a reduction cost of 2. There's a lot of cost reductions that they can just go into, which is really great here, and they are going to go ahead and use it. Going into a Lilamon right here, so they can potentially play a Yoshinoya. Right here, we do see they have one, so we're not really entirely sure on the sequencing of effects. I believe they probably sequenced Gummymon after the fact of when digivolving, so I'm not entirely sure on how that works. I think we just played it safe where they couldn't, where they have to resolve the when digivolving first and then resolve the draw afterwards, but I'm not entirely sure. So, but yeah, I think we're just playing safe there just in case they couldn't have done it. But if you guys know, let me know in the comments. So here they get into Rosemon effectively for very little cost. They suspend us down now at this moment, and they get to unsuspend themselves, and they have an HPD to go into a burst mode, which is just really good value for them. They're contemplating if they should get rid of our stack. We're hoping that they don't. Even with Imperialdramon Ace at this moment, it wouldn't even matter because a 15k DP is just going to run over us regardless, and we're not going to be able to stop that whatsoever, which is really unfortunate. So here we're not going to be able to blast Ace and blast Digivolve anyways, because we're just going to give them a ton of memory for no reason if we ever do so. But yeah, they are contemplating if they want to swing over the stack right there, or whether if they just want to swing into our security for more aggression and whatnot. But I think they did decide to swing into a stack, which is probably the right thing to do, because then it gives us lesser value, or yeah, not as much value, and they do end up trashing a card as well at the same time, and hard playing a Terriermon to pass turn afterwards, which is a very, very huge problem. Now I'm regretting not using the Hammer Sparks earlier, because now I can't use that at all. Here we have a very tough situation to be in. With so many cards in our hand, we have a lot of options, but also not a lot of ways to out this current board state. The Rosemon doesn't get, you know, trashed because it was properly digivolved thanks to the HPD as well, which is an insanely powerful card. So all we can really do is just hope for the best. We have to hard play this Wormmon, and we're gonna have to try to prolong one more turn somehow, and we just end up mega deathing the entire Burstmo stack back to their hand, forcing them to rebuild. But as you guys can see, green can rebuild very, very quickly with all the cost reductions as they're climbing through their Digivolution, as they're digivolving. Here is a very good example. They go into Togemon, and they have a lot of memory to work with anyway, so it's really not an issue at all, which you see in a bit as well. And yeah, with Togemon, played out the Mimi for free, essentially getting to search and find more pieces, and then they can continue to cycle through as well. And pretty sure they have a level 5 going into another Lilamon here, and then gaining memory back and reducing the cost with Togemon as well, playing another Yoshino, so then they can easily then gain more memory at the same turn, and all they need is just a Rosemon afterwards, and then they can just go into the combo. Playing Poison Ivy, I believe, this new option, which is really, really cool, because it actually makes your opponent, like Digimon, lose 2 memory, and you're gonna see how they sort of pop off pretty neatly here. Because by using it on our Wormmon, they digivolve into this Rosemon here for 2, use Yoshinoya to, you know, get the memory back, and because Togemon, you know, reduces by 1, which I misspoke earlier because I thought they did it, but yeah, no, they do it for the Rosemon. And then because they suspend down our Wormmon, they gain the 2 memory back, because we effectively lose 2 memory. And because they have so many Yoshinos to sort of work with, they can easily just like burst digivolve properly in terms of like just getting it back, trashing our security as well, doing 2 checks, finding ourselves a Davis right here. Hopefully maybe it's a turnaround which can help us bring it back, where we're contemplating, hey, whether we should just digivolve into an XVmon, or whether we should just play a Vmon instead and try to search. And that's the main thing. We need a second Stingmon, so that's the reason why we play the Vmon, so then we can search. And here, I think they're even contemplating using their Terriermon to swing over our Wormmon, because I think they don't want to give us as much value when it comes to having bodies on board, because for all they know, I guess we could somehow swing with both the Vmon and the XVmon next turn, but we're still a little bit of security short, but we can also go for a hybrid maybe. Again, they just want to limit the amount of bodies that they have, which is really pretty much the right thing to do, I think. And I think they have a plan and contingency when it comes, because they end up hard slapping this Togemon, keeping the Terriermon there no matter what, because then we can't gain memory. Now we know we're going to have to address this Terriermon. There's an opportunity for us right here at this moment, because once we get out of Terriermon, we can start gaining memory again, and then we can actually potentially even like try to clear their board or even clap back at them with a very epic play afterwards. So we're going to Stingmon with value. We're going to go try and attack over the Terriermon, but this is the moment where we disrespected them and we got blast digivolved on with Lilymon right here, the brand new one, which even bottom decks our Stingmon afterwards, which is really unfortunate. So our attack doesn't go through, suspending down our XVmon. Now we have no memory to work with at all, which is really unfortunate. Even if we hard play that other Stingmon and try to do like we can't even do an end of turn DNA. We can't even play the Hammer Spark. We can't gain a memory because of that Terriermon, and we have no way, no solution out of this. And I think this is pretty much like sealed in the bag. It's pretty doomed for us here. Maybe we could still turn this around. Maybe if I just digivolve into level 5 and passing them into this Imperialdramon, and then maybe you can blast digivolve back at them and give them a bit of surprise. But they have a lot of memory to work with. They have tamers. They burst digivolve again into us, and yeah, there's nothing we can really do. Trashing security once again, and we're done just like that. Okay, so next we're gonna be upping the challenge a little bit. We're gonna try to face off against one of the most hype and stronger decks of BT14 with Imperial here, and we're gonna be facing against Lugamon. With our opening hand, it looks great. We got rookies to work with, we got other rookies to sort of search with our Vmons as well, and we managed to find ourselves the XVmon at the same time to digivolve a pretty good stack at the back. The little slight unfortunate thing is that I wish the Labramon was the inheritable instead of Vmon, just because gaining that memory is always just more value, and I like that combo more. So just like Imperial things mostly, we're just going to chip away their security as much as possible in the early stages, draw cards, and cycle through and find pieces at the same time. We're giving them quite a lot of value at the same time here, because we're chipping away into some of their tamers, so they're able to search and set up. It's all about setup for them as well. They have a much more explosive sort of like late game when they're ready to go. Therefore, as Imperial, we're going to want to try and capitalize as quickly as possible and make as much plays and try to give them as low memory as possible to slow their setup down as well. And here we're establishing our board too at the same time. We have Davis here and, you know, double Davis as well, 2 different kinds, you know, so we're gaining a lot of memory at the start of main, really forcing them to sort of address our board at the same time, because with so many bodies we have, eventually we're gonna potentially can like threaten for lethal next turn, and it really forces them to come out earlier. But even for a Lugamon player, it's actually not too bad. They can come out early and they can still go for their full combo stack just like that. But the only downside for them at the current moment is they haven't trashed enough pieces that they need to see in the trash at the moment in this particular situation. However, they still have to want to get into it. They're still going to go for their big combo here, going all the way from their Lugamon to Lugar, and then Lugar to Soul Lugamon here. And here we're just quickly conversing at the moment whether if they should play something with Soul Lugamon, or if they should wait and play like Fenrir first and then play that Fascomon. If they only have that Fascomon to play to begin with, it would have just been better if they played the Fascomon off Fenrir's effect instead. So then, you know, they're able to unsuspend here instead, so they're getting a bit more value rather than playing off Soul Lugamon initially. And Fenrir Lugamon gets to unsuspend here, and they can actually make another check if they want to with Alliance if they really want to go for it, which they do, and they just double check, and also, you know, taking out our Vmon at the same time to unsuspend with Fenrir again, getting the most value again off this play, which is pretty good. And there they just basically start clapping back at us instantly because of that, and we're down to like fewer security, and they're just gonna pass their turn here because they want to stay as a blocker. I believe there's no point to check unnecessarily and give us like unnecessary value as well at the same time. Here again, we're just letting them know if they play that Fascomon down, they're going to give us extra memory to work with because they are at 1 memory, or we are at 1 memory, and, you know, they have to pay 3 and puts us to like 4, rather than instead they could just pass and give us as little to work with as possible. Here, we do have several pieces. We really need to address that Fenrir Lugamon, which is why I digivolved into the Stingmon here. and wanted to swing over the Fascomon as well at the same time, but I forgot they had a blocker, so we're not going to do that. And the main reason is because we want to use Mega Def. We're going to give them a little bit more memory to work with, but we can need to have that green source to make sure that we can bounce their Fenrir to their hand and make them rebuild all over again. And it basically gives them time to set up. They're already trying to rebuild into like sort of like a different stack and sort of see what they want to go for and what they can play. And 5 memory is a lot to work with for them, honestly. And they can easily come back from that. It's kind of dangerous. Our Stingmon's outside, and especially they have a Hellugamon right here, and Hellugamon is gonna potentially pop our Stingmon, so we're losing value because of that. It became more of an uphill battle since then for us, which is really, really tough, honestly. They're able to cycle through with Hellugamon, draw more cards, trash more cards as well at the same time. And here we're gonna have to be focusing on trying to rebuild as quickly as possible as well. So trying to establish as much value on the board and presence. We're going to play that Davis so that we can search and hard play a Vmon for free as well at the same time, and find pieces we need to set up for the next big combo play to start attacking and finish off the rest of the 3 security here. I was debating if I want to Digivolve into an X-Vmon at the back, but it's the one that sort of, regardless of which X-Vmon, I was hoping to sort of utilize and get a little bit greedy so I can utilize the Vmon in the raising to reduce the cost by 1 when I get into it to be more memory efficient. That's why I end up Digivolving a Stingmon outside in the battle area. And here, it seems like they're not seeing the optimal stack they want at this moment just because they lost all of it in that prior turn. And when we bounce them with Mega Def, so they really have to build like an awkward one here. They go into Fangmon and sort of decide what they want to get into. They do have few options. They can kind of like swing and use Dracmon to go into like either a Hellugamon or another Solugamon, or even sort of use Fangmons when attacking to, grab something back. So they do decide the Mind Link here as well at the same time before their attack. It seems like they want to go into like a Soul Lugarmon here, and then Soul Lugarmon can play a body back. But here we're also conversing if that was the best play, because here they just pass turn, and by passing turn they don't really get to do too much afterwards. They don't gain any memory from playing the Black Automon either. They can choose the Alliance to beef it up a little bit, but we're going to be left with body on the board and a lot of memory to work with in the next turn. So we're just talking about that, and giving that much memory to us pretty much like helps us secure the win more. So we're trying to look for more optimal plays on the opponent's side here. Maybe we're just also trying to say, hey, maybe it might be better to go into Hellugar so that you can kind of like set up for next turn, pop the body, and then sort of like try and see if you can prolong the game a little bit. And getting rid of Stingmon can be really crucial, because that means we don't have to hard play a Stingmon the next turn. Although we have another one in the backup, I think, so that we can go into. And then the cycling again, grabbing the Lugamon, gaining a bit of memory, but they still end up having to pass us to 3 because they don't have enough memory to work with to come back to 0 to set up for the next turn, which is rather unfortunate. But here, again, we do have enough resources. We're going to go up. We're going to have a lot of memory. We're going to go into XV here. We're going to hard play that Sting. We're going to go to the typical combo again, Imperialdramon, DNA right here, so we can swing and then swing again, draw a ton of cards because of the Vmon draws 1, which is not once per turn. We got the Demi-V that draws 1 once per turn. Stingmon draws 1, which is not once per turn as well. So we're drawing like 5 cards effectively just from that, and we have a lot to play with. And position seems to be okay on our end, simply just because they weren't able to catch up back and have a rookie in raising. If they had a rookie in raising, such as like Lugamon, the whole situation can be different. They would probably just push up and win there, and we have no defense whatsoever, which is really unfortunate. But all they can really do is play down a Fascomon blocker, and here we can just finish off utilizing and go straight into Imperialdramon Ace to suspend their Digimon down, and then we can swing, and then we get a whole lot of value, play more stuff if we want to, but then we can just easily swing anyways, so not necessary.
That's confirmed. Imperial is still strong. Let's go. If you guys want to see more BT14 gameplay, be sure to check this video out right here, right now. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. And this is Avault, signing